With the dismissal of the federal charges against him, Mayor Adams is urging New Yorkers to move forward and leave the accusations of corruption behind them. The move to dismiss the charges came as the mayor was more openly working with the Trump administration. He had just sent a memo to city agencies telling them not to criticize the president. Still, the case was dropped without prejudice, meaning the Trump administration can bring it back at any point. And because of that, even some of the mayor's traditional allies are now raising questions about what leverage Trump may now hold over the mayor. Few of the mayor's critics have been speaking out as quickly or as strongly as public advocate Jumaane Williams. In a statement released yesterday, Williams said, in part, the mayor is simply lying to New Yorkers. Dropping this case is purely a political favor to a man who can now be leveraged and threatened. The public advocate went on to say that the mayor refuses to even address the conduct that led to the indictment in the first place, or how he could hope to govern while under Donald Trump's thumb. With us now for more on this, public advocate Jumaane Williams. Good morning.
Good morning, Pat. Good morning.
It was a few weeks ago when you began saying that the mayor had already been compromised. Now we have a memo that firms this up.
Yeah, Pat, I just have to say, as a Black man who was a citywide elected official, to be having to have these conversations about someone even in a more citywide powerful position is pretty painful for me. But the truth now is harmful. Like, just mentioning the truth is almost a negative story, and that's unfortunate. But the truth of the matter is, this Eric Adams cannot govern impartially. That statement that came from the DOJ was stunningly truthful and stunningly dangerous at the same time. And when you look and read what was there, there's no conclusion that you can come with except the mayor is astronomically compromised and will have to do things that harm New Yorkers, or else he faces these charges coming back.
Can you be impartial in your analysis of the mayor, given that if he were to step down, you're next in line?
I believe I can. If you've noticed, I've been very measured in my comments, increasingly going a little further depending what was presented. But there's nothing else here. They literally said, we did not look at the evidence of this trial, and he still deserves to be able to prove his innocence, but that's not what this is. They literally said we need him to help with things like mass deportation, and these charges can come back at any time. There's no other conclusion that you can come up with. This is literally in black and white for anyone who reads it, can only come to the same conclusion. Now, if you support the policies, the worst policies of Donald Trump, then you'll be pretty happy. But as an American reading this, you should be very troubled that the way you can get out of harm from the DOJ is saying I will acquiesce to everything. The mayor is not an assistant to the president. He is the mayor of New York City.
Well, and that could be the case in any jurisdiction in the country, not just a New York City story. As we look ahead to the June primary, can we assume from these statements that if you endorse somebody, it will not be Eric Adams?
That is, could not be more correct. And it's so unfortunate because the things that we used to talk about and what we can do with public safety, what we can do with a whole bunch of issues has been fully squandered. And that's just a painful place to be in. But my job is to help the city move in the right direction and be honest about what's going on. And I have to do that on behalf of 8 million New Yorkers who are counting on people to step in to help do the best they can to protect them some of the worst of the policies that are happening.
You know, you're not the only prominent black politician who had been a supporter of Mayor Adams who is wavering in that support. Reverend Al Sharpton said yesterday he plans to convene a meeting of the city and the state's top black elected officials, and he wants to determine a unified course of action. Will you be joining that meeting? Have you spoken to Sharpton?
We have lots of conversations. If that invite comes, I'll definitely be there. We did have some conversations about that, and I think it's the right move to do. I also just want to shout out the hundreds of thousands of public sector workers who are in a very confusing state. But I do know they come to work and they want to do their best they can to honor our laws to protect all New Yorkers. And in the absence of a leadership from the mayor, I just want to applaud them for their courage and please encourage them to keep moving forward.
What about the city council? Have you been talking to members of the city council? Obviously they can provide some resistance if the mayor is moving in a pro-Trump direction that they feel is inappropriate.
Yeah, I've been speaking to the city council members regularly, and I speak with the speaker pretty regularly. And most of us are in the same frame of mind. I mean, I would say I want folks to think a certain way when it comes to the worst of the Trump policies. But quite frankly, even if you don't, we are living in a time where the DOJ has said is we are hanging these charges over your head. So forget about these particular policies. What else will they say? If you do not do this, we will bring these charges back. And we have seen how the mayor will choose to govern when he faces these kind of challenges and charges. If he cared about the city, he would say, this is not something I can do with this hanging over my head. And it is very hard to watch this happen in real time, but to also know that the people who Donald Trump are attacking the most represent our city on every way, every shape and form. To not have a mayor that's going to say we're going to do the best we can to stand up to the worst of the policies is disheartening to say the least. The meeting he's about to have with Tom Homan again, right after the release of this
right.
memo, is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, how can that be a fully honest conversation? And I have to ask: is the mayor being honest with himself when he says that this legal trouble is behind him?
I honestly do not know. It's obviously not behind you. They've written it in the memo that it is not behind you. It is hanging over your head. But it seems the mayor has created a bubble that he lives in. So I'm not sure if he's actually lying to himself or because of the bubble he's created, he actually believes it. But either way, it is not good for the city.
Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest news and weather updates every 10 minutes and more. We'll see you then.